Welcome to Health Coach for Women. Intentional living for more happiness and fulfillment in your everyday life with your host, Marsha Roopchand-Walker. Join Marsha as she shares her own personal wellness journey, as well as stories from our guests that will enlighten and inspire you to move towards better health and happiness. Now, here's your host, Marsha Roopchand-Walker.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Health Coach for Women. Thank you for listening in with me today. I just want to put that out there and say thank you so much. Now, today I want to talk to you about getting motivated, springing yourself into action when you feel motivated, right? And that can be with anything, with your health, with getting started on a new venture, a new journey, on something that you're working on. How do we get motivated when we just lack the desire to do it? We want to do it, but we don't want to do it, so to speak, right? So how do we feel like, how do we conquer that? We all have felt like that at some point in time, right? And myself included. So what do we do? And we have to look at, why do we feel this lack of motivation? What's happening that's not giving us that drive? What's going on at the time around us at that time in our lives and how we're feeling in our bodies. These things play a part in how we feel and doing things to get us into taking action. Right. And so when your body, when you're not feeling good in your body, right, and you have aches and pains in your body, you're not really driven to work out, right, because you're already in pain and you don't want to experience more pain. Right. And so that's one example. And when you have a test that you have to study for, you have to do it, but you really don't want to do it. So you're really not driven or motivated to do so. So there's different reasons and causes why we lack motivation. Sometimes we're just depleted with our energy, right? And that could be mentally, as well as physically in our bodies. So we have to pay attention to that. We have to pay attention to what we're feeling and how we're feeling at that moment when we don't have the desire to do things that we know we should be doing, right? And so one of the things that I do, when I have that moment of where I just don't feel like doing it, I mentally prepare myself, right? And so it's getting mentally prepared, right? Preparing myself mentally and saying, this is what you need to do. This is what must be done, right? And so that may not be work for everyone, but it works for me, right? And so you have to find your own thing or what works for you. And you can try that. And you can try just saying, okay, this is what needs to be done. This is what I have to do. It requires my effort in order to get the results that I'm looking to achieve, in order to get the outcome that I desire. I must do this. Right. And so you're telling yourself what needs to be done, because if it's not done, then how can you get the results that you want? And so if it means taking even getting started on your wellness journey, right? You may not want to work out for 20 minutes. You may not want to get on a treadmill for an hour, right? And so what we do is we take small steps at a time. We take little increments. And I always talk about taking walks in the park. Right? Taking walks in the park, get out when the sun is out shining. That for some reason seems to give you that burst of energy, right? When you're out in the sun, you feel a whole lot better when you're just in the house and it's dark and, you have that more energy. What the sun does is provide us energy. And so it provides us energy. So when we get out in that sun, not only we're taking in our vitamin D that we need, right? We're getting a burst of energy, something that's helping us to go ahead and take that walk, right? And make us feel good, right? Don't you always feel you? I would say a lot of times, you just feel better when the sun is shining, right? And you open up those blinds. And me, I like the sunlight coming in. I like that natural sunlight. And so when it's nice and sunny outside, you open those blinds. You let that light beam in, right? And you let that light illuminate the house, right? You don't need to put your home lights on. You let the natural sunlight illuminate the house, brighten up the house. And so it's the same thing with what works in our bodies. It's the same thing, getting that energy, receiving that energy. It gives us a natural desire to want to help us to propel to do the things we need to do. And it gives us that energy required. So just going outside, starting out, taking simple walks, right? Taking simple daily walks in the park, your nature trail, wherever it is, in your neighborhood, or even a neighborhood walk. If you have those who have pets, your dog, taking your dog out, that's therapeutic, right? That's therapeutic. And it's calming. You're bonding with your pet and you're connecting. And so you go out and you take your walk, whatever it's for 15, 20, 30 minutes, whatever it is that you want. And you make this a routine, right? And you make this your routine and you get up and you enjoy the sunlight and you get up and you go outside and you take your walk for however long you choose to take it for, right? And it gives you that sense of calm and you're just walking, you're just taking in the scenery, you're just taking in the feeling the wind blows as it brushes against your face, right? As the wind is blowing and as the sun is beaming on you and just enjoying your surroundings at that moment, right? And enjoying that moment that you're having at that time. And so that helps you with getting energy. That helps you with getting rid of the procrastination and feeling less motivated, but more inspired and more motivated to do something. And so what are some other things that we can do? Right? What are some other things that we can do? Sometimes if you enjoy journaling, right? And you enjoy journaling and writing your thoughts out, it feels good to just have that free flow writing and just getting it all out, expressing yourself, no judgment on your part or anyone, because your journaling is for you. If you choose, if it's your private thing that you want to do, if you have a diary, it's your private thoughts or whatever. And it's just you in that moment and expressing it and getting it all out. And sometimes that can be therapeutic as well. That can help you as well to release whatever emotions and feelings that you're going through at that time, or just to express yourself, right? Just to be free to be able to express yourself in that moment. It helps give you some type of motivation, and it's something positive, and you're expressing yourself freely. And being able to do that is therapeutic and it helps you in that way. Now, there's a lot of other things. I always talk about, meditation and mindfulness, and being present, right? These things are important because every day we're all human, and every day we're not always at our best, right? Sometimes you may have those days when you're not at your best, where you don't even have a reason. There's nothing going on. You just, I'm here, I'm present. And, sometimes that's just a natural thing and it's okay. But when it becomes where it is consuming you and taking up most of your day, then you don't want to put yourself in a slump, right? You don't want to put yourself in a slump. And so we have to find ways to motivate ourselves because things that we enjoy listening to, while doing what we enjoy, it's good, right? It's good and it helps us, but sometimes it may not be enough, right? It may not be enough to just pull you out of that slump of lack of motivation. So what do we do when that happens? What do we do when that happens, when, you just don't have that motivation, you don't have that desire, right? So we have to do things that make us feel good in our bodies, good in our minds, right? And we know that the mind and the body is one unit, separate but one. They work together, right? And so we know that when there is pain in our body, before that happens, it's registered to the brain that gives us that signal in that body to cause and create the pain, right? So we know that they're not separate; they're one unit. And so it's so important to keeping our minds as well as our bodies healthy, right? Keeping our minds and our bodies healthy gives us that energy, gives us that energy that we need to keep us vibrant, to keep us feeling alive and keep us feeling energetic, right? Along with, in addition to the things that we eat. So that brings me to a reason of why we can have less motivation, less energy, right? The things that we're eating, that we're consuming. What are we eating? What foods are we eating and consuming? What foods are we eating that is causing us to deplete our energy, right? What are some things that we're consuming that's causing us to have lack of energy? We need to take a look at that, right? And so that's doing part of that, doing the elimination diet helps you to uncover those things. And you can Google it and look up the elimination diet, and it tells you everything. You eliminate certain foods, right? And you do that for about a week or so. And it depends on what you're trying to do, but to see what your food intolerances are, right? And so with the elimination diet, you take away those foods, you take away certain foods, right? And you slowly introduce those foods back. And then you see what now, if you take away those certain foods, all those gluten products, dairy, all those things, meat, red meat and things like that, you take those things away, right? And let's pay attention in our bodies. What's going on in the brain? What's happening? How are we feeling in our minds and our bodies at that time? Are we feeling more, less foggy brain, more energetic, more vibrant? What are we feeling at that time? Those are things that we need to pay attention to, right? And so as we slowly introduce those foods back into our diet, and when those signals come out, when the body starts to manifest having the pain again, the inflammation or the foggy brain, lack of motivation, right? It's all what comes from the things that we are eating in addition to our environment. So we definitely need to pay attention to that. Pay attention to those things because, again, you are what you eat, right? And your environment can have an impact on your health as well. Your environment can have an impact on your health as well. What are we doing? Who are we surrounding ourselves with? Do you work in a stressful environment? Do you work in a negative environment? What type of environment are you surrounded with every day, right? That's important. And so some of the things that we can do maybe at work, if you're in a cubicle, if you're allowed to or whatever, you can have your little maybe not scented oils or a little pulp, the dipsticks with the scented things, and you can put that in something, or it doesn't even have to be something with a scent. It could be a picture, right? It can be a visual. It can be a motivational quote. I love motivational quotes. It can be something like that. So you put something at your desk, and that's what we call anchors, right? Something that we anchor. We have our anchors that we connect with, that we will give us that motivation, that inspiration, right? And so I remember when I used to work in a call center, I had my butterflies, along with a motivational quote. And so other people had it as well. So everybody, they have their own little thing that keeps them connected, keeps them plugged into feeling like, okay, I'm more than just this person showing up to work, right? Getting ready to get on the phone and take all these calls from some maybe possible rude customers, right? And so we have to find ways and outlets that we can be able to release some of the stress that we experience throughout daily living of going to work and things like that. And so that can cause someone to have less motivation as well, right? Maybe you're not happy in your job situation, or maybe because you don't have a job right now, whatever the case may be, or maybe issues with the spouse or something like that. It's just a natural part of life where things will not always go perfect, right? We live in an imperfect world. So things are not always going to go perfect in our lives. But it is how we manage and we deal with those events, those unexpected events and challenges that occurs in our life that's going to help us to get through those rough patches. That's what's going to help us get through those rough patches. And so we have to find strength in the adversity, find strength in the challenges that we experience when things arise. That's not pleasurable, right? And so that's what we have to do. And we find that motivation in connecting with our anchors, the things that make us happy, the things that bring us joy, right? And so just doing things that you enjoy, going outside, getting that fresh air, writing in your journal, doing your artwork, whatever it is, whatever your own hobby or your own creativity, whatever it is that's your outlet for you. Do more of those things. Do more of those things. Even when you say, I don't feel like doing it. I don't feel like, it's just not there. I'm just not there. You know what? Just do it anyway. And you'll find yourself, even though you started out not having the motivation, not having the desire to do it, when you actually begin to do it, you're getting into it because it's something that you actually like, and you're beginning to, express yourself however you express yourself. And you begin to get motivated, and you begin to get that spark back, that mojo, so to speak, right? And you're getting you're rebooting and getting back that creativity and motivation that you lost. It happens to all of us, right? Sometimes I'm pondering on ideas of, okay, well, what will I talk about this week? Sometimes I'm at a blank. I don't have a topic, or I may have a topic that I haven't completed yet. And so I'm trying to figure out, okay, well, I don't want to talk about this yet because of this. So it's something that it happens to all of us, right? And so we just find ways to manage, right? Managing those thoughts, habits, and behaviors, managing those things, being able to put the negativity aside, right? Being able to look at everything as a more positive, with having more of a positive outlook on things, right? And so that's what we have to do. So when we lack that motivation, lack that desire, we go ahead and we step into our greatness anyway, and we do it anyway, right? And so that's what we have to do. So find ways to do that. Find ways to tap into your own potential, your own creativity. Find ways to find your own spot. I'm trying to get the right words here of what to say. Your own thing where you can fit in and say, and when I say fit in, I'm not saying fitting to please anyone. I'm saying where you fit in, where you feel good, a comfortable fit and feeling for you, right? And so to be able to do that so that you can get motivated and inspired to do the things that you need to do so that you can have that joy and fulfillment in your life. Right. And so that's what you need to do. Again, let's look at all the things that can play a part on us having lack of motivation to do things in our health, careers, job, whatever. The lack of motivation, where does it come from? Of course, we know that diet plays a major part of it. Your environment plays a part of it, right? And how you feel about yourself, that lack of self-esteem, that self-love that you feel for yourself, right? And so we need to come out of that, and so that we can get the things that we want and have the things that we want. And I'm not just talking material things. I'm talking about the things that brings us joy and peace on the inside. And it doesn't come from on the outside. It comes within, right? And so it's finding that inner peace within ourselves that's going to give us that inspiration and motivation to propel us into the greatness and the things that we need to do in our lives. Again, I like to talk about the elimination diet. If you're feeling, a foggy brain, suffering from a lot of inflammation, you can Google it. It'll come right up. The elimination diet, it kind of tells you and lists the foods and things to avoid, dairy, red meat, things like that, gluten, and other products. It'll list and tell you things that you should avoid and how to go about doing it, right? And I'm not going to say it's pretty simple, because if it's the things that you eat all the time, it may be a challenge, right? It may be a challenge for you. And so, but you can find ways to start out small, right? Find ways to start out small, doing the things that you need to do, right? And having more energy when you have less energy, eating more of the foods that's going to give you that energy, right? Doing things that's going to help your body as well as your mind. Taking walks outside, getting outside, doing some form of movement, or even if you're inside for whatever reason you don't want to go outside, or you're unable to go outside because you live somewhere where there's a lot of snow, finding that little spot that you have, finding that little area, your own little area for you, where you can sit and meditate, do some stretching, right? Stretch your body. Stretches are great, especially to do in the morning, right? And loosen up all those tight muscles, right? And if you sit at a desk every day, stretching is great. To just simply even doing some stretching, right? Movement, walking in place, getting on your treadmill. If you don't have a treadmill, going around the house, walking around the house. Doing it, you can have your little Fitbit or whatever and time yourself. Do it 15, 30 minutes to an hour, whatever, however much you want to do. But it's okay to start out small. It's okay to not push yourself, right? And so with any exercise routine, of course, you should always consult with your doctor, and things like that. You want to do things that's going to empower you and enrich your life. And so that is by incorporating all the different things of eating the right foods, right? Eating right, movement, exercise, having the right environment, having the right support system, the right people to be around you to support you in what you're doing, right? And to be there for you. And so continue. Well, if you haven't started, you want to start. And for those who are actually doing it, kudos to you, and continue doing that. Continue doing those things. And let's find ways to stay motivated, because we know that it goes away and it happens, right? You get into a slump sometimes. Sometimes another thing is, some people experience the seasonal depression, right? When it's gloomy and cold and no sun shining, it's just dark, it's like, it's cold. It's just like, it's just too much, so you're not finding that you're putting you in a slump. People do experience that seasonal depression, right? And so I talked about those lights that you can get, right? I forget what it's called, but they have those lights it's a bright light that you can use, and you can keep that in your home. You can use those lights and to deal with that, to help you deal with those things, right? And so when you're experiencing also the anxiety and the overwhelm, you have to take time out to put everything on pause, put things on pause, and take that moment out to just reboot, right? And reboot, take a bath, right? Take a nice bubble bath, right? Take a nice bubble bath, light some candles, do something for you. And it's so important that we do some things for ourselves and not feel guilty about it. Not feel guilty about doing those things, because that's how you're able to find that those things that bring more pleasure, right? Bring more pleasure to your life and help lift your spirits up and lift your mood up, doing all those things. Right? Doing various things and trying different things, trying new things, and not being afraid of failing, not being afraid of trying something and it didn't work, at least you could say, well, you did it, you've attempted it, and have fun with it. Let's not make it this life project where if it didn't work out, now it's the end of the world. No. and if we're experimenting and having fun, right? Have fun with life. Enjoy, because none of us is promised tomorrow. So have fun with life and find joy. Find joy in the simple things, right? And having that attitude of gratitude. And I'll say it, I probably say it every episode, but having that attitude of gratitude, right? And just being happy with where you are right now in the present moment, being able to do that. And when you can do that, you can find more motivation. You can find more reason to want to be inspired, to want to be motivated, to do more, to do better, to be better, right? Because again, this is another thing I say. I always talk about, perfectly imperfect. It's not about being perfect and getting things 100% correct. No, that's not what it's about, because what you do is you set yourself up. So when it doesn't happen, oh no, you crash and burn, right? And so no, what you do is just, you set goals for being better, doing better. You took that 15-minute walk. Yay, kudos to you. Now, next week or tomorrow, we're going to make it 20, 30 minutes. And that's it. It's about making small steps and celebrating those wins, celebrating those things. And be content. Be content and happy with that, because you know that you are doing more. You know that you are doing better. Right. And so that's how we find motivation. And when we lack motivation, let's take a look at all the things that could be causing us to have that lack motivation. And sometimes it's not external at all. It's all within ourselves, and in how we view ourselves, what we think about ourselves, right? Who do we see when we look in the mirror? Right? Do you see a failure? Do you see someone who is beautiful, striving to be better, to be a better human being on the planet? You striving to be better, not perfect. Or do you see someone who is full of potential and has a story that they want to share with the world, or someone, you want to write that book, you want to open that restaurant, open that wellness center, open your daycare, whatever it is that you desire, get that new job, get that degree, go further and get that education and go further in your education. Let's not limit ourselves. Let's find a way to get that motivation back. And if you've lost it, I hope you've gained a little bit of it today by listening to today's episode. So that is all I have for you now. I hope you have gained a little bit of something today from this episode. And again, I thank you so much for listening in. Stay tuned again until next week, the next episode. Thank you so much, and bye for now. Oh, one more thing. I want to wish you all love, health, happiness, and much abundance. Bye for now.
Thank you so much for listening to Health Coach for Women with your host, Marsha Roopchand-Walker. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please be sure to rate, subscribe, and review on your preferred podcast listening platform. We really appreciate that effort. Until next time.